People do not buy what you do, they buy why you do it. For years, the reason that Apple has dominated Samsung and Google has dominated Yahoo is not a procedure or a formula. It's an understanding of what you are providing your customers. Not what it is, but why they are buying it from you. For this reason, and others, I'm so excited to be here on behalf of myself, Liam, and my colleagues, Jessica and Laura, to present to you an exciting path for Groupon moving forward.
Wonderful, thank you. So just to look at where you currently are, the primary problem that you are facing is a lack of long-term vision. The reason that there's a lack of long-term vision that is clear and efficient for growth is due to a weak differentiating value proposition, as well as overextending your resources and your capabilities that you currently have in this moment. So our goal today is to tell you how you can transform your value proposition through focusing on the customer experience, as well as to reduce the operating costs through intelligent allocation of those resources.
So, to get right into it, we want to analyze where you are as a company right now. So, just beginning, of course, you act as a leverage group for bargaining, using the economies of scale to produce deals for your customers. You're one of the fastest companies to reach $1 billion valuation, and this is something we think is very unique about you in the market. Right now, you have a 15-country coverage after reducing that down from 42 countries to create efficiencies within those countries. And customer engagement is very crucial for you because of the other competitors that are entering the market right now. I don't want to touch too much on the finances at this point, but just a few key things to keep in mind right now is that your current ratio currently is below 1, so you're not able to satisfy all of your current debt this year, which is definitely something to take into consideration, as well as you have very high SG&A, which you see as a result of inefficiencies within your operating expenses, as it is higher than your gross profit at this time.
Alright, so moving in to look at your collaborators here. So right now, your main collaborators are those merchants that you do have that relationship with in terms of the local restaurants and restaurants across the world, actually. And then one thing to note we want to highlight here is that right now your merchants aren't fully benefiting from the relationship. We're finding that often they aren't getting the balance of return from this relationship, and that's something you need to analyze and address as you move forward. You also need to analyze collaborators here. We are looking at your suppliers, of course, which again are those merchants, and managing that relationship. For your competitors, you do have a lot of local and regional competitors. It's also a fairly low barrier to entry into the market as of right now. But some big names that are starting to move in that you really need to anticipate are Google, Amazon, and Alibaba, of course. The main part of this, though, is that you need to identify and utilize the unique proposition that you could offer to your customers and taking from all of the strengths of your competitors. Now, moving into the climate, right now, the tech is on the rise, as I'm sure you are well aware. So we do need to keep that in mind, of course. Machinery and artificial intelligence is particularly becoming more prominent in the industry. Also, right now, you act as an inferior product. So when there's a decline in the economy, your revenues increase. This is not something we want to continue, but something you need to be aware of right now as the perspective from the customers. Then moving into your customers. So right now, the customers hold a huge responsibility to engage with you. So the onus is 100% on your customers to come onto the apps, onto the website, start that relationship. You're also wanting to get more engagement, of course. And you also need to, you also have the attractiveness based on your deals. So if your customers are more engaged, because they feel you have better deals going on.
So, just to touch on your revenue mix right now, we see you having sort of 4 main areas of business that you've identified, but we see them as being in 2 key areas. And that's the first-party goods that are supplied through your service, as well as the other third-party goods that are also provided on both a local and international level. So the first-party goods make up a large portion of your revenue at this time. However, your profit margins are very low at about 15% at this time, as opposed to a 70 to 80% estimation in all other areas. One of the other very big differences that we see between this first-party revenue stream and the others is that it does not differentiate you from other key players in the industry, such as Amazon and Alibaba. We see this as being a very, very large issue that we want to address throughout this, so that we can sort of sculpt a unique value proposition for you that sets you apart from these giants in the industry. That is why we want to focus sort of on these third-party goods, because of their alignment with your unique value proposition and how they can help to satisfy customers' needs and wants in ways that we do not believe the other one can.
All right, so moving forward, we think you have three main options that you could focus in on. First off, of course, is operational efficiency. So this would be continuing to reduce fixed and operating costs. And of course, just focusing in on the differentiation, as Liam was talking about a little bit earlier. We also do want to mention that you might want to, if you do choose this, is to continue to exit out of some of your international operations, just as you have been finding that beneficial so far. For customer success, our second option that we feel you could move into, this is what I mentioned a little bit earlier about shifting that onus from the customer back onto yourself, and more of you're the one who starts the engagement, who starts every relationship with the customer, instead of expecting them to want to, purely based on your value proposition. So this also allows for market domination if done properly, of course. And this is also moving along and in line with social technology that is currently on the rise. This would also give you a first mover advantage in the market, just because you would be incorporating machine learning and AI as it increases. And then, of course, our third option here is selling. This is obviously not as preferred. It is low risk, though, which is great in regards to your financial position. But it doesn't really align with your company values, of course.
Alrighty, so in order to really assess which route is best for Group 1 to take, we wanted to really identify some key critical success factors, and we put them in the line attributes there. So really focusing on vision alignment and growth is where we value the most in terms of which recommendation we choose, as well as risk, innovation, and then the cost in order to implement it. So as you can see, the customer success is the top option with a score of 3.85.
So now that we've identified the path that we want to take, we want to look at what areas of your business we want to focus in, understanding the value proposition that you provide your customers, as well as the one that you're providing the merchant. So looking at customers, the main thing that you're doing is you're providing them with great deals. You're allowing them to try new products and experiences for less money than they would be in other ways, as well as facilitating communication between customers and merchants. And this sort of transitions to what you provide the merchants. You act as a promotional tool for them. You build brand awareness for them, and ideally, you build long-term valuable customers that they can maintain within their business. So looking at sort of the four areas that you are focused in right now, we see focusing on a local level, as well as analyzing your international alignments in different countries as the ones we really want to hone in and address for you. The reasons that we don't believe the stores and specializations is the path for you moving forward is touching on the stores that are set up online. We see this being very aligned with what Alibaba and Amazon offers customers right now, and it doesn't differentiate you, as well as the low profit margin in this area. And specialization, we see you as a global giant in the industry, and while specialization could allow you to dominate specific areas such as beauty, we see this putting you in a box, and the customer perception of you is very important, and we don't want you to be restricted to specific areas like this. So with this in mind, there's just a few key performance indicators we want to outline for you as we go through this, because we see these as being very good milestones for your success. The first is increasing your customer engagement by 20% annually. We will be implementing some systems that are going to allow you to track this, and we see this as being very important. Also, we want to revamp your website and app so it's more interactive and increases those engagements. As well, a specific success point for us is going to be when 60% of your revenue is generated from third-person and local revenue streams, as opposed to your first-person revenue stream.
Okay, so moving forward to what we're actually recommending you do. So we do have a two-step recommendation plan here. To start off, we're going to talk about how you're going to transform the value proposition through focusing on your customer experience. So, to begin this, it is a little overwhelming here. Note that there are 4 parts to this first step. So first we're going to talk about your marketing. So if you go in, we want you to revamp your website. Right now, it's a little overwhelming for customers to see. It looks like one giant ad, and that's not engaging for your users to be using. You need to invest in revamping in that. You also need to make sure that you're developing a website that's going to be easily transferred onto an application. So you are going to need to invest in also hiring a team that can build out the mobile application for your website. We say this because, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, mobile devices and technology in general is becoming a huge trend, and it has been for several years now. And it's time that you moved and focused more in on your mobile device. This also ties into the Groupon Plus option that you do currently have. That's in reference to tying your debit and Visa cards directly into the account. We do believe if you highlight this on your mobile app, it is going to make it a lot easier for users to engage. It's taking one step away from them to after completion. Now, for the machine learning investment, this is where we want you to invest most of your money and all of your focus in the short term, just because this is what's going to have the biggest long-term payoff. So what we mean by investing in machine learning to create a platform and engagement is creating a platform that knows each of your users. You're personalizing the experience for each of your users so that when they come onto the app, there's a personalized recommendation of experiences that they would be interested in consuming. The point of machine learning is that as you use the app more, it's going to become more refined to recommend the content that is bubbling up for these employees to just consume in bite-sized pieces without having to go search through your current database. So this will be a huge investment, and we're not going to discount how long it's going to take to implement, but we think it's going to be one of the key aspects of this recommendation.
All right, moving into the improving the customer relationship part. So this is really where the customers need to clearly understand the value that you are proposing to them through the changes in your business model and how you are operating. So first, we want to identify the personalized promotions to each individual customer. This means that using the machine learning, that we can really hone in on each customer's experience, because as the customers are kind of moving forward in time, they're becoming more almost unknowingly expectant of you serving them better and them not making the first step in reaching out to you. So by you continuously meeting them where they're at and discovering where they need to, what they will best appreciate in their offerings and products, this will really improve that and shift the perception of Groupon as a whole from an inferior service to a lifestyle enhancing mechanism. Now, in order to do this, we need to implement some change management processes so that the customers really understand what you're doing and why you're doing it, and how long until they'll be able to really reap the values of it. So awareness, like as Jessica mentioned, we will have new marketing campaigns, new promotions, and a complete revamp of the interface so that it's simple and easy to understand and that they can really extract as much value from it as possible. Second, we really want to sell the experiences and lifestyle that they can gain from using your mobile app as well as the website. We want you to continue to invest in targeting marketing as well as to continue to develop the app, because this is not a stagnant market. It is continuously changing. As technology develops, as new innovations come out, you need to keep up with all of the changes. And so by having the knowledge and the people on board in order to really critically analyze that and move forward will really benefit you in the future. And finally, the results is that shift in the public perceptions, as I previously mentioned, from Groupon being an inferior service that they can use just to save some money to really implementing it into their entire holistic lifestyle. Now, the fourth part of our first part of our recommendation in terms of the whole entire customer experience, we really want you to reassess and really think about which international countries and regions you are operating in. as a lot of them in the past have shown lack of profits and revenues just due to differences in culture, we really want to analyze the current cultures and understand how to engage in the local businesses where you really are thriving, and now those that align with the value proposition.
So with this in mind, we understand what we can provide for customers, but the big question is, what is this going to do for your bottom line as a company? So the big one we want to talk about is reducing your operational costs through intelligent allocation of resources. And the first thing that we're going to do is shift away from your first-person revenue stream. Now before I get into this, I want to make it clear, this is a big shift for your company and not the one that we're discounting. This is going to be a 7-year progression of where your revenue comes from your 3 streams. We see this first-person marketplace as very in line with other key players in the market, so we want to make the decision now to move out of it before others make it for you. In doing this, what we're going to be able to do is reduce operational expenditure, because this is an area where you're quite inefficient. Your profit margins are low, despite having very high revenues. And as I mentioned, it's going to define your unique value proposition and improve those profit margins. So on a 7-year progression, we do want to fully phase out of this first-person marketplace and move forward more being a third-party provider, as well as sort of reinvesting in the travel and localized business option. We understand this is a big movement for your current revenue projection, but we see it as being a proactive decision instead of in 2 years having to make a reactive decision. So also just want to touch on a few of the upfront costs that we see happening in the immediate future. We need to hire some superstars for your business right now to really invest that high-tech web machine learning, as well as a consultant to help with this integration process in regards to change management. So we've outlined about 21 people that we want to bring on within the next year. You are a large company, but we do understand this is still a significant amount of people that will be entering into the business, but we see this being a worthwhile investment in the next year.
Okay, so looking in the short term, this is the stuff that you guys need to focus on in the next year, just this next year. So if we look ahead here, we do think that evaluating your current merchant commitment is going to be extremely important. You need to understand how they're feeling fully, and then be able to react to that, and then be working on that relationship for the remainder of the year and continuing years. We see this as a milestone here at the beginning when you do form this true relationship with your merchants and start moving forward with them together. Then also in the short term, if we're looking more internally here, we do think that you need to be focusing on hiring that Scrum team, which is the machine learning team that's going to help you out. It is going to take you at least 6 months because you're going to be trying to hire real talent, and you shouldn't rush that. Also here we have hiring your web development team and your application development team. You should be able to do that in the next 4 months. And then hiring an HR consultant, again, to help with that transition. And then, of course, we do think long-term here, you're going to want to launch the website and the app. So we think that you'll be able to launch this app at 1 year. We do feel that this is a huge milestone. Pardon me, the diamond should be at the beginning, because that's where we feel this huge milestone begins, is when you start turning this into more of an engagement. And then also the machine learning diamond, also part of it should be at the beginning. That's when you're launching the machine learning aspect of this app and actually making it engaging for your users.
All right, so before we wrap up, I just really want to touch on the first key risk that we have right here. And it's that your retail partners, so those local businesses that you're interacting with, they don't accept the new value proposition that you've added to your company. So to mitigate this, we really want to encourage you to interact with them on an individual basis with transparency and really communicate the vitality that their relationship serves and how you can then benefit them.
So thank you. So with this in mind, there's a few key things that we've done for your company. But overall, what's most important is that we're differentiating your company value proposition to reduce operational costs and refine your revenue streams. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And Groupon needs to move from an inferior product offering low-cost alternatives to a lifestyle giant that is helping people to improve their lives through new experiences and reduced costs. We thank you so much for your time, and we now like to open up the floor for questions.
Besides the current costs, what other costs are important?
Could you repeat that, please?
Besides the HR costs, what other costs would be important?
Definitely. So the costs we outlined were just on a one-year projection. Some of the sort of long-term costs that we see being impactful here. The first is going to be a new allocation of your employees. The ones that are sort of working in areas of the business that we're going to be phasing out of need to be moved to new areas. As well as we see when you're sort of addressing your international market, if there are regions that we want to invest more in or move back from, sort of those transitional costs will be significant for you as a company. We want to sort of set up a structure for you to make those decisions in the long run, as opposed to tell you how to do it. But there will be significant costs if you do have to make those decisions in the future.
So Dean, your emphasis is more on expertise and specialized talented people and whatnot. We're hoping you're not recommending Bill Gates, right? But the numbers you've given us, have you done any researches to see the correct numbers? I personally feel they're way under than what's expected to get the right talented people.
So that's a great point. Honestly, we were just basing off how we felt you should start recruiting. That's an excellent point, and you do have a lot of funds that you, or not a lot, but you have enough funds that you could be investing even deeper into more talented employees, and that will be an aspect that you have to consider as you grow, especially with the talent you're trying to acquire. Even offering options such as working remotely to attract the talent that you're looking for might be the best option, and willing to put up more compensation and such just to attract that talent. It doesn't necessarily need to be exactly what we offered.
How do you come up with the 7-year phase out? It sounds a little long. Try 9,000 cuts there when we exit business.
Yeah, so we went with 7 years only because we understand the complexity of machine learning and how long it can take the effects to really take off. We weren't trying to say that it's going to take for the full 7 years to actually accomplish all of this, but it was more we were trying to monitor and show the long-term effects of it.
So you talked a lot about personalization and machine learning. So what's the issue with the current customer journey, and how will machine learning and personalization result in an improvement and increased revenue?
That's a really great question. In terms of the current customer experience, when you look at your webpage, it is quite outdated and it's very cluttered. There's a lot of information and colors and pictures coming at you, and not necessarily all of them are catered towards your exact customer. So by being able to manipulate the homepage based on the customer preferences using like search engine optimization and the cookies in your browsers, and by having a machine learning that can then pick up on that and become more and more advanced to really cater to what the customer is looking for, it would really shape the customer experience. So when they do reach out to your website, they will truly see that Groupon is trying to cater to them. Does that answer your question?
So just adding on to that, one of the biggest issues we have is we're not really able to get repeat business from our customers, right? How do we really get that loyalty? And does machine learning really help us get more loyalty in terms of our repeat business with customers?
I think the biggest thing to keep in mind is with machine learning, the more you use it, the more specialized it gets. So the incentive for your users would be, initially, try to hit that mark right away. So you have done a little bit of research, I know, with your customers, but you are trying to hone in on those local restaurants. So hopefully starting with those local vendors, people and brands that they are accustomed to and know, and then building off that whether they like or dislike the option that you have provided on their homepage or bubble up. That will hopefully help the machine learning. The aspect is that it continues to learn and then becomes a more improved option. That would then result in people wanting to come back. Be like, oh, I didn't know I would like to go kayaking. That's a great idea. Or, oh, I didn't know that was a great restaurant. Like, that's what I should try out. So it's an option of also just expanding their experiences in general, not just from your app, right? You're offering that value outside of the app. You're offering them that experience that they didn't even know they wanted.
Thank you.